All right, welcome to the Value TV show. That's right, beautiful people, where we give you tools to build and have healthy relationships. I am Jamel Jackson, your relationship mechanic. I'm sitting here with my lovely co-host, Lashunna. What's the deal and villain?
Nothing much, man. What's going on?
I'm good. How you been?
I've been really good. The sun is out. We getting the natural vitamin D, so we feeling good.
Are you really feeling good, though?
Yeah.
Because people just be saying they feeling good and don't be feeling good.
Yeah, I don't be lying, though.
You're not avoiding me, are you?
No, of course not.
Nah? Mm-mm. Do you care how I'm doing?
Yeah, how are you doing?
You see, you ain't even asked. Like, you just...
I was letting you talk. It was so intense, so I was like, let me let you get it out, because I feel like you have a lot on you. So I was like, let me let you get it all out. Because sometimes we got to sit back and listen and let it breathe.
Yeah.
Not just hit you with the, well, how are you doing?
You know what? I had a mentor. He said this, when people ask him that now, he says, I'm doing better. Not that there's nothing wrong, but that's my statement I use off of him, like I'm doing better. Mm-hmm. You know, there's always challenges, obstacles, hurdles, but I'm doing better, overcoming stuff. My daughter, remember I told you about my daughter?
Yeah, she's liking this boy at school now.
Yeah, I don't want to put too much of info out in the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, she's sending emojis now, man.
Yeah.
She 11.
How does it feel to have a daughter who's starting to have interest?
It has me digging deep within, you know, and I'm showing her grace.
Okay.
You know, I'm not one of them dads that's like, she's telling me this information. One for one, I'm just glad she can confide in me.
Right.
And she's not like trying, ooh, this is good. She's not trying to avoid me. Real
That's
talk.
really,
Because
yeah,
she's opening up. She's coming to me and we sitting down. She was like, I want to tell you about something. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what is it? And as she's telling me the information, I'm like, wow, I'm entering into a new stage of her life.
Yeah.
And this is like, and I don't say nothing right away. I kind of get quiet and I'm thinking like, how should I handle this?
Yeah.
You know, because immediately when she tells me, some of my emotions is like, let me see your phone. Let me check your phone.
Yeah.
I want to go through her phone.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go through her phone. You know?
Yeah.
Now I did check out her little TikTok. She on TikTok.
And what did you find?
Nah, it was innocent stuff, but I was like, I'm amazed at what she's on TikTok and she's like doing her little, little pop and lock dances, nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm just still in amazement, like, wow, like, but I feel so good that she's able to be vulnerable with me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not hiding it, and then that could lead to something else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You got nieces and nephews, right?
Yeah.
How do they come to you and tell you stuff?
They do, because I provide a very safe space for them to be able to be transparent and not have to hide things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting is, out of that relationship with my daughter, this was like maybe like a week and a half ago. She shared this with me. Mm-hmm. In my quiet time, I started thinking like, man, what things have I avoided though? You know what I mean?
And what did you come up with?
A lot. Okay. You know, and I was thinking like, why though? Like, it was almost like out of fear. But when you and I were talking, it's like you date back to where did that come from? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Being afraid to present my most vulnerable, intimate thoughts with whoever it was. Mm-hmm. You know, because I didn't just look at relationships that I was in currently. I just took it back. Like, why am I like that? Mm-hmm. And not in all areas, but just why am I like that? Like, man, why am I avoiding this? And sometimes it's because of confrontation, the fear of how somebody's gonna look at you. Mm-hmm. In business, I've had business relationships where it's like, man, I know I gotta say this, or I know we gotta have this conversation. It's gonna be difficult. It's touchy. I don't know if I want to have it.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to do this. And then it could be with family. You know, because you got some families we just get together. Mm-hmm. Family is Thanksgiving, it's Christmas. And it's still that elephant in the room that nobody want to talk to. We're avoiding it.
Yeah, we need to be talking about the elephant in the room.
Yeah, we need to talk about it.
Yeah, we need to be talking about it.
But here's the thing. Let's talk about the elephant in the room as it pertains to intimate relationships.
Okay.
Intimate relationships. Because another word for avoiding would be like you ducking. Mm-hmm. You dodging the person. You hiding. Or you dodging that confrontation. You dodging that conversation because you're thinking it might lead to confrontation. Mm-hmm. And so now you don't want to confide in your partner. You don't want to be transparent. You don't want to be vulnerable. So I'll keep avoiding this as long as I can. But that's dangerous.
It is.
Without me even thinking about, it just had me thinking about myself. Like, Jamel, what things have you avoided? Mm-hmm. What things are you avoiding? And that was, like I said, it was a week and a half ago. So the following morning, I literally woke up and I wrote a list. I was like, of a couple of things. I was like, I'm not avoiding this no more. Whether it be finances, whether it be calls or conversations I didn't have with a friend or a family member. Like I called my dad and it was a conversation I've been avoiding for years. But I was like, I'm about to call him and ask him. Because I was like, I don't know what he's gonna say. I fear what he's gonna say. And all this stuff started building up in my head. And what's crazy is when we had the conversation, it wasn't even what I thought it was.
Yeah, it be those false narratives that sometimes we build in our mind, right? And it's like, where do you even get that from? And usually it's about your own level of insecurity. I think for me, I'm a little different. So I think conflict is necessary. I think sometimes we're so afraid of it, but in order for us to get the solution or the outcome that we want, we first have to go through the conflict. So in my mind, to avoid the conflict is sometimes to forfeit the solution that I want or need, right? I have never been in a relationship where I avoided being vulnerable if I felt safe. So for me, my first question is always, if I feel like I need to avoid something, the culture of our relationship is not safety. So I don't need to attack the avoidance. I need to attack what is present that is causing me not to feel safe.
But a person can feel safe and be safe and still avoid certain conversations.
I disagree.
You disagree?
I think a lot of times we prioritize and focus the wrong things in relationships. We focus on telling a person, you need to open up to me. Why won't you open up to me? Why won't you share this with me? When my question is, why don't you focus on creating a safe space? So the transparency is almost innate. It almost automatically happens. It's like if you put $1.50 in the vending machine, you're guaranteed to get whatever you want that costs $1.50. So when you create a level of safety and a culture surrounding vulnerability and transparency, it's a fruit of that.
Well, let's say this though. You say in intimate relationships, you never avoided. So there's no time that you avoided anything?
I cannot think of a time where I've avoided conversations. And I say that because one of my core values is transparency. So if I can't be transparent, I cannot thrive in the relationship. And I am not going to be a prisoner in a relationship. What is the point of me being in a relationship where I can't be transparent with you? I'm probably going to walk away from the relationship before I live in that relationship and avoid being able to show up as my true authentic self. I don't need a relationship that I can't be transparent in. Now, sometimes, again, I take myself through a filtering system. Am I feeling the stress of transparency because of, one, my own insecurity? You know, I've learned that you can build this narrative of how you think people will perceive you, but how a person perceives me is more about them than it is about me. I can't control how you perceive something, but what I can do is be transparent with you so you don't have to assume. So people that have been in relationships with me, they don't have to assume what I'm thinking. They don't have to assume what I'm feeling. Because when it comes to a disagreement, you can never tell me, well, I didn't know how you feel. No, I told you how I felt and I was transparent. Whether you prioritized it or not has a lot to do with you.
So that's good for you as a strong woman, you know. However, have you been in a relationship where you're with a guy and he's avoiding the conversation?
Yes.
What do you do?
Dig. Ask questions.
What kind of questions you ask? Because I know that here's the thing. When I was studying this, there's, you know, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with open-ended and closed-ended questions.
Yeah.
A lot of us, when we're in that situation, we tend to go for closed-ended questions. How you feeling today? Good. But those open-ended questions, I find, are the things that unlock it. What does that digging look like for a woman to a man?
It's first of all, again, creating a safe space. So I'm never gonna come to someone, I'm gonna come to a person, I'm gonna be attentive to how that person wants and needs to be handled. right? So I know, again, going back to, I'm going to approach someone based on the solution that I want to get. So I know that if I come in a harsh way, if I come with all this attitude, I'm not going to get the solution I'm looking for. Typically, if I come to you, I've already sensed, seen, and felt it. It's not just something, I'm not a brash person where I'm just going to be like, well, what's wrong with you? I'm going to come to you and I'm going to throw a disclaimer. Hey, I want to have a really transparent conversation with you. And it might be uncomfortable. And if it is, tell me. However, I've sensed that something is off because men, y'all are creatures of habit. So I've been attentive and I've noticed this. Is there something going on that you could share with me? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that looks like a person isn't ready to share it. Okay, how can I support you in this moment? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I make you feel more safe? Is it something that I can do to better serve you, right? So it's a difference when you approach people from a level of how can I serve you versus, oh, you just need to be open.
What if it turns into this word stonewalling?
Them avoiding it?
Stonewalling, meaning they're avoiding this conversation because they're in fear of the conflict that it may produce. So I'm stonewalling you.
I'm gonna be honest with you, then I'm gonna be transparent and say, listen, if you wanna avoid it, that's cool, but I'm not taking accountability for that. So if you want to avoid it and you don't wanna talk about it, cool, but understand that it does not expand the capacity of our relationship. So don't tell me that you want something healthy, don't tell me you want something that's thriving. I'm gonna let you sit with yourself. And when you're ready, you let me know. But understand, I'm not gonna go years in a relationship with someone who is afraid of conflict.
See, that's a powerful tool though. Like you're saying that as a woman and with your mindset of being that mature. But as for some men, not all men, well, I'm gonna say this for myself. Like I've developed a strength where I'm like, the patience. You know, to tend to people or to tend to my partner when they don't feel like they want to be that vulnerable, you know, because what that looks like for everybody is different. It may not be them opening their mouth.
But I think you should count the cost before you get into a relationship. We are adults. If you are saying that you're ready to be in an adult relationship, you need to count the cost. Now, it's layers to it. Nobody just goes into it 1,000% trusting. You're gonna always have inhibitions. You're gonna always have fears. You're gonna always have triggers. The important thing is communicating how you want to be handled. No one can read your mind. Like I will tell anybody, I do not like to argue, yell, and scream. I'm not doing it. It's a trigger for me. I think it is ignorant. We're not gonna get to a solution. I'm not doing that. That's the way I like to be handled. But I can't expect you to read my mind and know that because maybe you existed in all your relationships and y'all argue, y'all scream, and y'all was good tomorrow. I'm not gonna be good tomorrow after that. So don't handle me in that way. I think men have to do a better job communicating how they want to be handled. I cannot hold somebody accountable for something that I didn't communicate.
And see, that's the thing. Now, I would speak for the men because everybody now, I'm not saying that it's just okay to be this way, but some of us as men, we've been brought up to be strong, to be mighty. And sometimes we mask our emotions and our feelings. So that vulnerability that you're looking for and that not being avoiding to certain conversations, we're just accustomed to that. Like, I'm not gonna wear my heart on my sleeve, especially if you grow up from like inner city neighborhoods sometimes and you grew up in rough neighborhoods. It's like, no, you gotta be hard, you know what I mean? And certain conversations you're not gonna have. Cause I don't wanna look like no punk, I don't wanna so my ego is popped up, I'm macho. So I'm avoiding the conversation. I wanna really tell you how I feel about this thing. And maybe I don't even know how to conjure up the words. You know, does that make me a bad man?
No, it doesn't make you a bad man. I think it's extremely valid. I think that you have to give yourself permission to say, I'm still growing. But it still does not negate the fact that you must grow through it. We have all been through something. We have all not necessarily had a childhood that may have been the best, but it doesn't negate the fact that you have to grow. I can deal with somebody who does not have it all together, but they're willing to progressively grow. Let's progressively grow. What are you gonna do to at least start at level 1 so that we can grow to level 10? But to just stay at level 1 and think you're gonna be in a relationship with me and say, well, this is just how I was taught all my life. Okay, well, you stay at level 1, you probably should be single until you're ready to embark on a growth journey.
I had to do that when there was a point in my life where I had to go through this course. It was called The Healer Being Healed. And I believe I mentioned this before. It was 16 weeks of counseling. And in this course, they were like really reprogramming my mind how to think and give my voice language again. Like I had to learn how to speak. It felt like I was like a child because I never used these type of vocabulary where I was like, this made me feel like this because of this. I hurt when you said this.
That's powerful.
As simple as it sounds.
Yeah, no,
I'm just saying.
It's deep.
When they were teaching it, I was sitting there like, man, this is stupid.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking, there were a lot of conversations and a lot of things I was avoiding because I didn't have language.
Yeah.
And so as I began to get these tools, I started going to certain relatives and then asking certain, friends would do stuff. And I would say, you know what? Hey, when you did that, it made me feel like this. I didn't avoid the conversation.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. But just like I said, recently, there were some things that were happening and I found myself going back into this, avoiding certain conversations with certain individuals because I didn't want that friction. It's like, man, I just want everybody to be good. And sometimes that's what we do. We want everybody to be good.
But then it causes internal friction. So are you going to carry it all on your shoulders for the sake of making other people feel comfortable? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to create this internal storm inside of myself to make someone else feel comfortable. And I think we should start testing our relationships based off of that. If a person cannot handle conflict, then you probably don't want to have them as a long-term partner.
And I think it's the word. I think when people hear the word conflict, we think battle, war.
Yeah, and it's not like that. It can just be, you know what, we're going to agree to disagree. Or, I didn't know that when I said that it hurt you or it made you feel away or it made you want to shut down. I think we have to understand that vulnerability is a part of the process. And sometimes it does look like letting your pride and ego go and say, yo, that hurt me. Like, yo, I didn't like the way you handle me and it made me want to shut down and never open up to you again.
One of the dangers I find is if we avoid these conversations, okay, if I avoid the conversation, then as I could find myself going to confide in someone else.
You're going to be single doing that.
But I'm saying this is where you find relationships where people end up separating or divorcing because here's the thing. You're trying to speak to your partner. They're stonewalling you continually. Okay, so check this out. Let's say it's you and you got your partner and they're avoiding, they don't want to open up, Now, since you can't get them to communicate, now you go and confide in someone else. Because they're stonewalling you continually. Now, what I found is there's people that do stonewalling intentionally in a manipulative way to damage the relationship. But let's just say you're that person and your partner keeps stonewalling you. And now what that could lead to, like I was saying, is you go confide in someone else that's not going to avoid your conversation. But that's not healthy as well.
That's extremely unhealthy.
But people do that.
Absolutely. All the time.
You go confide in someone else, and now the person you're confiding in, that ends up destroying your relationship. What should somebody do?
Before you go to somebody else, like honestly communicate it. And if that person is not willing to grow with you, honestly, you need to sever the tie. Because it's just going to cause too much trauma. Once you start going to somebody else, it creates all of this other stuff. Just sever the tie. And that sounds easier said than done. But imagine how much time, energy, all of that you save by deciding to walk away from something or someone who doesn't serve you.
I would say this before they do that, at least seek some counsel. Because there's counsel that can help you reprogram your mind and help you begin to build off that relationship and break down that wall. Stonewalling is not healthy at all, man. I've seen it where couples come in and they're avoiding conversations. One of the reasons is because they don't have any language, man. I can't tell you how vital that was for me training myself how to communicate again.
Right. So let me ask you this, right? From a man's perspective, how do you deal with a woman who avoids being vulnerable and transparent in the relationship? Because a lot of times I find that men don't be having patience sometimes. So how does a man who's like, I'm trying to love her, but there's some type of wall there and I don't know how to get her to let her guard down?
With me, to be transparent and honest is, this is where I connect the source into it. This is really where I do connect God into it, because I look at this person and I look, that's a weakness. And then I want to know, where did that come from? Because nobody just wakes up and says, I want to avoid conversations.
Right.
Where did that come from? And if it's my partner, then like you said, that digging. How does that digging look? I begin to ask questions in a safe environment, in a safe place. Hey, what's going on? And if you begin to open up to me and share how, you know what, when I came up, there was not a lot of love. We didn't communicate like this. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. Now that gives me an understanding, like, okay, then I'll go to God, like, God, how do I deal with this? Or I would reach out to tutors and counselors I know, like, hey, here's a situation I'm dealing with. Without not even trying to castigate or condemn my partner, but here's a situation I'm dealing with. And then begin to seek wisdom from these individuals. And then also seeking wisdom from God, because he's going to speak to me, because I've spent this relationship and built this relationship with them. Like, how do I handle this? Because especially if I love this person and I know that they're not doing it, once again, stonewalling can be intentional.
Yeah.
If I see that they're not doing it intentionally, then it's going to give me some courage, some patience to say, you know what? I love this person. This is us. This is our battle. You know? And then I'll create this safe place, like you were saying.
So what do you do when she's like women are synonymous for this. You notice something is wrong. Let's say you prayed about it and you ask her like, what's going on? She's like, nothing, I'm good. Like, what do you do then? Like, when you're really trying and she's still like, because, you know, it would be great if, like, that first time you come to her and she's like, okay, this is what's been going on. This is what I'm feeling. But what do you do when she's like, nothing, I'm good. But you know she's not good. How does a man take patience, and how does he create an environment to make that woman feel safe?
I'm going to tell you this. This is a real life scenario. This is good. I experienced this in a relationship.
You going to put yourself on display?
No, I'm just painting a little picture.
Okay.
So I experienced this in a relationship, and it was challenging. But it was really, I had, like, I'm not trying to be, well, let me just say, because you always tell me to just say it. Like, I had to literally show, I have this thing where I look at individuals with my feeble or my weakness. Because it says his strength is made perfect in my weakness, So I don't look at you in my strength. I look at you from my weak perspective, and then I look at your weakness and say, okay, this is what she's dealing with. And in this relationship, I was looking at it like that, like, this is what she's dealing with. Like, okay, how dare I be puffed up and mighty and say, man, you keep avoiding it. Why you like this? I had to dumb it down in my mind. Like, okay, first of all, finding out why this is occurring. And then literally I began to love her. Like, love, when I say love her, meaning in those moments, just hold her. As much as I want to answer, I'm just gonna hold you. As much as it's giving me a little sting, I'm just gonna hold you. As much as I want to try to, here's the thing, oh, this is good, check this out. Because the very thing the devil's trying to use to separate you, God's trying to use to connect you. So you're avoiding me, now I get upset and I see this in my mind, maybe I should go out in the living room, and I did this. I went and sat in the living room, and as I'm sitting there, God says, now you're avoiding her. And I'm like, oh, snap. But somebody got to be big. Say, you know what? I'm getting up. Got up. Went to her. Held her. And right then in that moment, I could feel something, not forget breaking in her, because she was asleep, breaking in me. And he's like, God's like, yeah, this is it right here. You don't avoid because that person's avoiding. You do what I do. You keep loving. And what came out of that was, it wasn't language, it was a written word, where the individual came to me with a letter written out. And I said, wow. And it was written out of all these emotions and everything that she didn't have vocabulary for or language for. But when I read the letter, it lit up my day because that was a step.
Yeah.
It wasn't verbally, but it still was a step. And even in that, God showed me, he said, that's what I do. The very thing that the enemy's trying to use to separate you, I'm trying to use to connect you. But it took somebody, and in that type of situation, somebody has to be mature. And in that type of situation, I would say the man has to be that one. Sometimes to step up and be like, you know what? Because the enemy's coming through you.
Right.
Like, you know what I see, especially if your woman's weak in that moment and she's weak, he's like, yeah, I got her. Now I got to get him. And if he come to you, you got to have enough strength to be like, all right. And it's not going to be easy because I did sit there and I was like, I wasn't in anger, but I was just frustrated in my thoughts. Like, how do I do this? And then it clicked. You're avoiding too. So what are you doing? Nobody wins in this scenario. Then I'm like, well, how do I win? You go. And I'm like, oh. And did I just skip? No, but I got up and I said, okay, I'm going. Do I need to, and I'm walking as I'm walking, do I need to say, don't say nothing. Just hold. Just hold. That's language in itself.
Yeah.
Just to hold her in her weakness.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You're going to need it too. Because really what you have is weakness holding weakness, but really in that moment you have, because he says my strength is revealed in your weakness. So in that moment, really it's his strength working through me, holding her.
Right.
And then holding both of us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important because you can't fight avoidance with avoidance. And I think when we talk about men leading in households, sometimes that looks like just providing, you know, just financially. But I think one of the most powerful things is for a man to show a woman what that looks like, what being vulnerable looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like, show me what it looks like then. Give me an example of what it looks like. And I think sometimes that allows that woman to be like, okay, maybe I am safe. So I perfect, and sometimes it's not in words, like you said, especially if a person's, you know, we talk about love languages a lot. Maybe her love language is physical touch, and that's the thing that's gonna bring her guard down. Yeah.
And that takes another level, real talk. It developed me, it showed me another level inside that I didn't know existed in me, you know? And then after that, it had me looking at all my other relationships. Like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
This doesn't work. If I'm gonna avoid, the boss don't want to talk, I don't want to talk.
Yeah.
My mom don't want to talk, I don't want to talk. My brother don't, or whoever, they don't want to say nothing, I'm not gonna say nothing. Somebody has to step up.
And it's easy to do. It's easy to be like, okay, you don't want to talk, okay. That's cool, I won't talk either.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing. In that right there, Lashunna, and this is where I do bring the spiritual aspect into it, because that's where the enemy get the victory.
Right.
This is why families are split apart.
Yeah.
Especially in our communities. This is why relationships are destroyed and divorces is so high, because it's like if I could create a level of avoidance where nobody's talking, boom, I got it. Yeah. And then we avoid the people we should be confronting. And we go confide in the people we should be avoiding.
That's a word.
It's the first time I ever said it.
Yeah, let that breathe, because that's true.
For real.
Yeah.
We avoid the people we should be confronting, and then we go confide in the people we should be avoiding.
Yeah.
I've been in that situation.
Yeah.
Let me go talk to this guy, knowing he a fool.
Yeah, knowing he can't give you no type of wisdom.
But he can appease to my feeling.
Yeah.
We gonna have a couple drinks, and then you get this type of language. Yeah, I feel you, dog. That's the way they all are. That's how my last marriage was, and the woman before that. Oh, that's how every business is, man. That dude was shiesty.
Yeah.
That's not the language I need right there.
Yeah, it validates the brokenness inside of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really, what it does is it strengthens the wall that I already have up, that stone.
Yeah.
Makes it stronger and stronger. So now when I do go to my partner, I'm not even trying to say nothing to her.
Yeah, that's very true.
Or when I go see my family members, I ain't trying to say nothing. And the famous slogan is, I'm good.
Yeah.
How many, you know what, it has to stop this year.
Yeah.
This is what I was talking about when I said I was dealing with some level of avoidance, let alone with my intimate relationship. It's an amazing relationship. I have an amazing fiance.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about when it comes to business and family, I was saying later for that.
Yeah. I'm
not saying we just crash the party and say, everybody open up. But how many barbecues and how many holidays are we gonna go to and cut the turkey and laugh like everything's just grand?
Yeah, nah, we gotta.
And we're really avoiding
Yeah.
conversations that should have been had when we were children, when we were teenagers. Now we're adults and we got families and we still avoiding it.
Yeah.
Uncle don't talk to this uncle, the brother don't talk to that brother, and the mom and the...
Yeah.
And it's just this functionality running rampant.
Mm-hmm.
But that's good. And it's okay because we got the Value TV show now.
That's right. We breaking the cycles.
Breaking the cycle. We giving them tools to build and have healthy relationships.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
For the women that are watching, what would you say to that woman? What's one or two pieces of information you would give her that she's dealing with this avoidance? I don't want to talk to my man and you don't understand, like I'm hurt. And every time I try to go to him, he just keeps shutting down. He don't want to open up. He don't want to create a safe place. I hear what you're talking about. What can I do?
You first have to sit with yourself, right? Take yourself through a process, because sometimes we think it's the other person and sometimes it's you. Like sometimes you got to be like, you know what? It's actually not even you, it's me. You know what I'm saying? Ask yourself what the trigger is. If you're a woman of faith, definitely tap into your faith. Because I think so many times we go to people before we go to God, right? And so you'll find those people, like get people out your ear that you have to contend with their voice. I say that all the time. Like you have to quiet yourself so that you can think clearly and so that you can dig deep into yourself and maybe even ask yourself, is this the person I want to be with? Because sometimes we spend a lot of time trying to repair something that honestly can't be repaired. So ask yourself, is this something that I have the capacity for? Sometimes that looks like, don't delay it. Don't delay it. Because there are some women who are being patient, who are waiting, who are saying, no, I need to do this and I need to do that. And you need to sit with yourself and ask yourself if you have the capacity for it, because maybe it's not the relationship for you. Now, if it is the relationship for you, get you some tools, get you some therapy, somebody with a non-biased view. Like sometimes your homegirl just is not the person, because sometimes we share things and our family and our friends internalize it, and you've moved on in your relationship and that person is still holding on to it. If you do have a person that you want to go to, make sure they have like a non-biased view and that they can hear, see, and sense very clearly. Yeah.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the Value TV show where we give you tools to build and have healthy relationships. If you're single, you're dating, you're married, you're out there and you're looking for tools to build and have a healthy relationship, tune into the Value TV show. That's right, Jamel Jackson, your relationship mechanic. I'm out of here. Peace.